You're listening to JTE Movie Thinks. Is that the title? Is that correct grammar? All right, we'll go with it. It's a show about movies and thinking. And now, here's your host, every man's hero, JTE.
Hey guys, what is going on? JT here with a brand new episode of JT Movie Thinks. No guessing what this episode's about. Everyone's talking about one thing this weekend. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. It's a big weekend for movies, a big weekend for cinema. It's a big weekend for geeks and nerds alike. Anyone who's a Star Wars fan has been looking forward to this. I mean, well, for a while they thought it was never going to come. And it actually happened. It's kind of like finding out you have a second birthday. You're going to have a birthday twice a year from now on. Because you're getting a Star Wars movie every year from now on. Now, last time I did a Star Wars episode, it was when the trailer came out and the poster came out. It was all in like one big week. And I had a new neighbor. His name was Ace Cabrera, also known as Squad Leader Ace. I called him over. I said, let's talk about this trailer. And he's back again.
I'm back.
To actually talk about the movie this time.
Yeah, we actually saw the movie like 30 minutes ago.
For the second time.
For the second time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're recording this on a Saturday. This will be released Sunday morning. I originally saw it Tuesday at a screening at Disney. I was lucky enough to go with the Screen Junkies crew and Ken Knapsack, who's the biggest Star Wars fan I know. So that was exciting for me to see it with him for the first time.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't really get ready for something like this. I feel like the first time you watch it, you're just kind of like in a little bit of a haze. You can't take everything in. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to record a review for this movie until I've seen it at least twice.
Yep.
I had a ticket for Thursday. So this could have been my third time, but I got stuck. I did my first episode Movie Fights this week. So guys, if you're listening to this and you haven't checked out Movie Fights on YouTube, check it out. It was my first time actually fighting. I stepped out of the booth and I went toe-to-toe with John Roca and Doug Benson. But because of that fight went so long, I actually missed my screening I had Thursday night. But luckily, Ken had an extra ticket for today, and Ace came along. Before we get into our general review, and again, this isn't a regular episode where I'm going to ask... Well, I guess it is a regular episode. Ace, what's the last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched, for the
Star
first
Wars:
time?
The Force Awakens.
Oh.
So now it's a regular episode.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Before we get into what we're thinking of what we've been thinking, describe the first viewing for me. Like, how did it go down for you?
Ooh, first viewing. Okay. I've been preparing for watching Star Wars: The Force Awakens since they announced we could buy tickets. So we bought tickets for Thursday night. We were going to watch it Thursday night at 9 o'clock. Then we realized that we didn't have reserved seating.
Oh, no.
Yeah, last time I was on the show, I mentioned that.
Yep.
And so I took the day off.
Okay.
And my showtime was at 9 o'clock. I met up with my friend, and we headed over there around 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we waited for about 7 hours to watch Star Wars. We have been anticipating this for a long time. And leading up to it, as hours were counting down, I was freaking out. I was so nervous because this is a movie that, like you just said, I've been waiting for a long time. And as a huge Star Wars fan, it was just nerve-wracking.
Yes.
So what's cool about the place I work at is that pretty much we shut down the entire workspace because we were all so excited to see Star Wars that we finished all our work on Wednesday so we can just focus on watching Star Wars on Thursday. But yeah, man, it's seriously it's been an exciting week, and it's all been about Star Wars. I completely forgot it's Christmas next week because
I know,
because it's freaking Star Wars this whole week, and it's been great, man. It's been a very most anticipated movie of forever for me.
Yeah,
so.
Let's just say, you know, I grew up with Star Wars. I do love Star Wars, but I'm not nowhere near the level of fan as like you, Harloff, Ellis, Mark Riley, or Ken. Yeah. You guys are a whole nother level to me. So I know there's a more of attachment for you guys than it is to me. So I think that's going to be a little different as far as our review goes. I will say right now, this is going to be a spoiler review.
Okay, so spoiler filled.
This is going to be spoiler filled. I think the next minute, we'll each give a quick thought overall what we think.
Okay.
Where obviously you're going to see it no matter we go see it or not. But I just want your overall feels on a movie.
Okay.
And then we're immediately just going to start jumping into spoiler territory, because to really talk about this movie, you have to go into spoilers. So let's get spoiler crazy with it. Go ahead, just give me your overall...
Me first?
Yeah, you first. Give me your overall thoughts on the movie, give me your short review.
Short review.
Spoiler free.
I really, really enjoyed this movie. I really liked it. I thought it was good, not great. I thought the movie had quite a few flaws that kind of... that I didn't appreciate. However, it's Star Wars, it's fun, it's got lightsabers, it's got lightsaber battles, it's got cool dark side moments. I like the performances from pretty much everyone in this movie. Everyone gave a great performance in this movie. The new characters were awesome. I loved Rey. I really enjoyed Finn.
Rey played by Daisy Ridley. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a fun, good time at the movie theater. It was a fun movie.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. I'm right there with you pretty much. I was definitely disappointed with some aspects of the movie. And I hate that word disappointed, because people hear that and they automatically think you don't like the movie.
Yeah.
I had so much fun watching this movie.
Yeah.
There's great moments, and I think the characters are fantastic all around. But certain plot points... which kind of disappointed me, which is why I really was looking forward to the second viewing. Mm-hmm. I don't think it really changed a lot of what I think. The second viewing didn't change a lot of what I think. I still give it 4 out of 5 schmoes. What would you rate it, schmo-wise, real quick?
Ooh, put me on the spot.
Yeah, is that tough? Are you not quite sure yet? Do you not want to...
No, I can do it. I'll give it like a 4.3.
4.3 out of 5 schmoes?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
4.3.
Yeah, I mean, we're all seem to be in the same
because
area.
I wanted a lot more. If I'm being honest, I wanted a lot more.
You wanted a lot more? Gotcha.
So if it did a lot more than that, then I would have given it a higher score.
Like, Harloff gave it a 4.2. So you're right there with them. I'm right there with them. We're all kind of seeing the same boat. And I have actually talked to Copster, and he's kind of on the same page also. I think he's right around where you and Harloff are at. And again, I'm at a 4 out of 5, so I'm right there.
Yep.
And that's surprising coming from you guys who are such bigger Star Wars fans. So I think that does tell you a little bit, and I think we're going to get into that right now. So that's our overall thoughts. Let's get into spoiler territory. Let's get nuts with it. All right. So the first viewing, I'm gonna say this movie, for the first 2/3 of it, I was 100% on board. I was like, this movie is fantastic. And then the third act is where a lot of my problems come into, and they're not huge problems. They're just things start getting revealed to yourself, like, let's just get into it. When we did this last podcast and the poster came out and it revealed what is basically Death Star 3.0, what's it called? Star Killer Base. I said on that podcast, if this movie ends with another mission of them having to go destroy another Death Star type thing, I'm going to be really disappointed. And that was my biggest fear. It happened. This movie, the third act, is basically the same as Return of the Jedi. It's basically the same as A New Hope, the fact that they have to literally go destroy another Death Star by taking out its weak point, while someone else is either, trying to take down some shields. So when that was happening, I think the first time I saw it, I was like, no! I was George Lucas Special Edition. No!
Yeah.
And so for when I first saw the movie and I came out of it, that was the thing I wrestled with the most. Like, trying to get over that disappointment of them doing that again. And I remember talking to Ken in the car, and even Ken was like, ugh, really? Again? Because when you look at it, there's the last 4 chapters. I'm not talking about the last 4 movies. I'm talking chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7. 3 out of those 4 have all ended with the same third act of us trying to destroy Death Star. Did this bother you as much as it bothers me?
It bothers me a lot. It's not just the fact... It's the fact that we have to destroy a bigger Death Star. It's the fact that the way they explain it is almost exactly the same as A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Where they're like, this is the weak point. If we attack this part, it'll blow up. And I'm just like, oh, no, it can't be this way again. Like, it threw me off a lot. Mm-hmm. And the fact that instead of like destroying one planet, it can destroy 5 planets or like a solar system or whatever it was. I was like, oh no, this is just not. It was so like you said, disappointing.
It's disappointing.
It's one of those things where it's like there's like no new ideas. It felt like they were just rehashing It's like, what can we make?
Yeah.
What's even worse than the Death Star? A star killer that's bigger and it can destroy 5 planets. And it's like, oh.
Ken said it very great way. He said it's a great cover song to A New Hope. And this is where I'm like, I remember watching the movie and I'm like, the first hint that this might be a problem was when BB-8 is basically given some plans, and when Oscar Isaac, who's fantastic in the movie by the way,
great,
basically is like, get out of here, and hides the plans in him, and then you're on a desert planet, and then you got this girl, finds him, he's like, oh, I have plans, and then I'm like, okay, well, that's really similar to New Hope. I was like, but at that point, I was willing to, like, whatever, okay, I get it. So, but when you add that and the Death Star, that's just the bookends are just so similar to me that I'm just like, no.
It's funny because that's not my biggest gripe in the movie. It's not. I got over it pretty quick. I got over that. I was just like, okay, they're destroying the Death Star again. Cool. Whatever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
it bothered me more.
It bothered me when I was watching it, but after I saw the movie, other stuff bothered me more than that. Okay. I guess I could say that kind of took me out more than that, but that was just like, oh, really? Okay, I guess we're doing this again.
Now, guys, it sounds like we didn't like the movie but here's the reason why I think we're talking about the negatives. It's because we both wanted this to be a 5 out of 5. We wanted this to be a 10 out of 10. We wanted this to be an A+. So
best movie ever.
For me, this is almost therapeutic. I want to tell you why it wasn't a 5 out of 5 for me. Because that's what we wanted. So the reason why we're really going over things we didn't like is because if those things weren't there, this thing could have been a 5 out of 5. Because I was having so much fun in that theater. There's so many great little moments in this movie that I think we'll talk about some more. But let's start off with the problems we had with it.
Okay.
So you people know why we're not giving this a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. So again, we talked about the Death Star. For me, the familiarity of just like retelling the first movie also bothered me. I'm going to talk a lot about the third act right now because that's where a lot of the problems I like. It's weird. And I said this on Twitter. Like, I've never liked a movie so much and been disappointed at the same time. It's a weird feeling. You're either one or the other. Like, oh, I love it or I'm disappointed. It's weird to have both. So the third act, again, for me, you really can't stamp it. The second they start talking about the base, having to go take out the base, that's when I really, start having problems. Let's talk about some of the big reveals real quick. Obviously, Kylo Ren is the son of Leia and Han Solo. That's told you pretty early in the film. I'd say maybe at the 45-minute mark or so. And at that point, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I remember hearing it and thinking, because at first he says, like, Darth Vader's his grandfather. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's got to be... Yeah, he says grandfather.
I think he says that after. I'm pretty sure that's afterwards.
Is that after they
reveal that he's Han Solo's son?
Okay, so when is it first revealed? It's first revealed goes, I thought the first time...
The first time it's revealed is when Snoke says your father, Han Solo,
your father
asked the droid.
Yeah. So, you're right. Yeah. And then I think I might have missed that the first time because I was so I didn't know. I was so distracted by Snoke, I think, when I first saw Snoke. Because, like you, I was so worried he was a giant.
I did. At first time I saw him, I was like, "Oh no! Please don't make him a giant! Please don't make him a giant!" Because the only thing I imagined was Luke Skywalker fighting a giant Snoke, and I was like, "Is this going to be the big finale in Episode 9? Have Luke fight a giant Snoke with a giant lightsaber? Oh my God. No! Please no!
That would have been horrible.
That would have been terrible."
So I think I might have missed the first time that was said because I was just like, "No!" And then when they shows a hologram, I said, "Oh, you bastards! Thank you." I was like, "Thank you," but at the same time, you scared the shit out of me.
Yep.
So for me, like one of the biggest scenes in this movie is the death of Han Solo. Now, I said this to you before the second screening. Like that scene really didn't play well for me because I felt like you weren't sad because I think what you're supposed to feel in that scene is you're supposed to feel the heartbreak of a son killing his father. And I didn't really feel that the first time I saw it. I felt like the reason you're heartbroken is because you're seeing one of your favorite characters die, which is definitely part of it. But I think to be true to the scene in the movie, for it to be organic, you really need to feel like you're seeing a son kill his father. But we have no context for their relationship. We have no idea like what it was like growing up with Han Solo. We have no idea of what their relationship with their son was before he turned to the dark side. Or why he turned to the dark side. We still don't know why he turned to the dark side. So there's so many things that we don't know that I almost felt like when the death happened, I was like, oh man, there's supposed to be this powerful scene between father and son, but it didn't really play like that for me. It just felt like a really sad scene to see Han die. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way at all?
I was one of the few people who actually really enjoyed the death of Han Solo. I actually really liked that scene.
Enjoy is the strong
Enjoy is not enjoy.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked how they did it. I liked how it was set up. I liked how long it took. I liked the pacing of it. I liked the fact that he killed him with a lightsaber. I liked the fact that it was in the middle of that beam that they were standing on. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a very well done scene. It felt like him killing him it felt very natural. It felt like it's something that he needed to do.
Well,
I
agree with you. It symbolizes him officially going to the dark side.
Your issues with the father and son thing, right?
It's the father and son.
My thing is that they relied on that just because of the fact that they are father and son. Mm-hmm. The fact that the strength of Leia says it in the movie where she says to Han that Luke is a Jedi, so he couldn't help him, but you're his father. It's something so much more personal. It's something like in Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader says, I'm your father. It's something so deep where you're like, oh crap, he's my dad. Like, I could see a non-Star Wars fan really, like I told you earlier too, like someone like my mom saying, oh, it's his father. He's killing his own dad. Yeah. His own dad. Like, that's so deep and so profound. Like, I did feel that. I really did feel that in the scene. I really... Everything about it to me just worked.
Like, I mean, I a lot of times when I watch movies, I try to fix it in my head. Like, I would have loved the way I think maybe would have worked better. Who knows? I could be completely wrong. I thought, imagine if Han Solo thought his son was disappeared or dead, and Luke's gone. And one of the reasons why they're trying to find Luke is not only to get balance to the Force, but to find out what happened to their son. And imagine if Kylo Ren, kept his helmet on throughout the whole movie. Then Han Solo comes across Kylo Ren in that same scene, and then Kylo Ren reveals himself to be Han Solo's son. It would have been like another Empire Strikes Back moment where they go, I am your father. It could have been, I am your son. And imagine Harrison Ford, his character would have been like, what? Ben, you're alive? His name's Ben, by the way.
Yeah, that's great.
It could have been a great scene and then that way the audience is in the same shoes as Harrison Ford. He's just, he can't believe what's happening, and then he gets killed by his son. It would have just... To me, like, that's me trying to write the movie in my own head. That's one way I think they could have maybe made me care more about the actual scene.
It would have been interesting for sure. It would have been a better experience for the audience, but it would have it might not have worked for Han. That maybe because Han has this personal connection to his son, and he's been trying to reach his son, and he feels like he's losing his son. And Leia says,
I don't know though, because he literally, and if you guys hear anything, I'm plugging in my laptop for this. When we come across Han in this movie, he's like just kind of being a smuggler again. He's not looking for his son.
No, he feels
it's almost like he's come to rest that his son is a bad guy.
That's what I'm saying. He's giving up on his son, and then the scene where Leia says, "You have the chance to save him."
Why would you give up on your son like that?
Because I'm assuming that he did something pretty bad that they kind of hint at, where he says. He rebelled and destroyed it all.
If you go by that logic, then why would he feel like he needed to save him at the end?
Because he felt like that's his son, and no matter what, he's not going to give up on his son. Even when he kills him, there's a scene where he reaches out and touches his face, where he just never gave up on his son. So it gives more of an emotional connection.
But you were just saying, like, he gave up on his son, and he was out doing smuggler stuff.
He gave up on his son, but then he reestablishes that with Leia and says, hey... I have this shot. You know what? I'm gonna take this shot. But when if he just revealed and is like, oh, that's my son. Oh, well, I haven't seen you in a while. But instead, the way they did it, of course, he's not gonna
be like that.
It's gonna be like, hey, I've been trying and trying and trying and trying. Let me try one more time. Please come back. I agree,
but I need to see some of that trying and trying. We don't hear about it. It
was done in exposition.
We don't hear about it. We don't see it.
We hear about it a little bit.
When did we hear about Han trying?
When it says, we've tried before, but he's got too much Vader.
I never heard those words. We tried before. I heard her say he has too much Vader in him.
Because they were saying
they said he was lost, but I never heard anything like we tried everything we could.
I think it was hinted at. I think it was hinted at.
Okay, so that scene goes on, and what that scene leads to is one of my favorite scenes is the whole Kylo Ren being battling John Boyega, played Finn, and then Daisy Ridley as Rey.
Right.
So I thought this was a really good lightsaber fight for the most part because Christian Harloff said it really well. It's not like really choreographed. The best lightsaber fights are about motion.
Yeah.
The best lightsaber fights are about when there's emotion behind the fight. And you felt that with Boyega because he's pissed because he just knocked out Ridley. Yeah. And Ridley wakes up and is starting to feel the Force and is basically like, you took down Boyega and I'm the only person who needs to take you out.
Yeah.
So I was loving that lightsaber duel. But this is, again, the problem with the Death Star. Anytime they cut back to the Death Star battle, I was like, just get me back to the lightsaber fight.
Okay.
Because I was so done with this whole Death Star because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to go, they're going to hit the weak point, it's going to blow up, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So I was like, just stay with the lightsaber fight. And this is one of the problems I have. I had the same problem in Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I love what's going on with Luke and Vader and the Emperor on the Death Star. Mm-hmm. What I didn't like was every time they cut to anytime they cut to Lando trying to take out the Death Star again, I was like, just get back to Vader and Luke because I know what's going to happen. They're going to hit the spot. They're going to blow up the Death Star. There's no stakes for me. Yeah. So I felt that again this time. Same thing. That's why I feel like some of the problem I have with Jedi is I had the same problems with this movie. They're redoing the same thing. So, but then this is where you and I both had a little bit of problem with the actual lightsaber fight. Yeah. Now, what I didn't realize, and I noticed this more in the second viewing, was I was originally upset that Rey beat Kylo Ren.
I'm still upset.
You're still upset. And but one thing that I did notice this time is the first half of the fight, she's really just kind of running away and like cutting like trees and just trying to get away from Kylo Ren. Because listen, this girl's never touched a lightsaber. She is literally fighting a guy who was raised to be fight with lightsaber. He not only was he raised and taught by Luke, but he's also being taught by Snoke.
Which means he should be pretty powerful.
Pretty damn powerful and pretty good with that damn lightsaber. Yeah. So what happens then is like she finally kind of stops running and he goes to attack her and he's got the upper hand. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she feels the Force. There's this moment where it slows down almost. You can see her getting the Force, I guess. And then tapping into the Force. Tapping into the Force. And then for some reason that translates to her be able to outfight, which I'm still kind of cloudy on. And some people use it.
I guess. It makes sense on paper, yet it still bothers me. That, to me, is probably my least favorite part of the movie. I love the fight. The fight was great. But the fact that Rey beat him just pissed me off. Because to me, I was talking to my friends about it too. I'm a huge martial arts fan, right? So I'm big on training. I'm big on this guy's been doing this style of martial art. He's been doing it for this long. He grew up with this teacher. I'm a huge you're a huge kung fu guy, right? And when you've been training and fighting for so long, I don't care who you are. Like Jedis need training. Yeah. They train in a Jedi temple since
so
they're
funny.
children.
This is a weird tangent, but I had the same problem with the remake of Karate Kid. The one with Jackie Chan, because Jane knows no karate. Jackie Chan teaches him for a month, and somehow Jane's able to beat this kid, who, by the way, grew up in like a ninja temple, and is like, I was scared as shit from that kid in that movie. I was like, that kid could beat my ass. And when I ended the movie, I was like, how did he train Jane to beat a fucking super warrior?
That's what I'm saying. And then you have a girl who's legit a scavenger, not a fighter in any way, has never trained a day in her life, picks up a lightsaber and beats a Dark Lord of the dark side of the Force who's been training since he was a boy. Because they say he's been training with Luke since he was a boy, then trained by Snoke. No, I did not accept that at all.
I'm with you, and here's some excuses I've heard from people. Like, we've talked to Ken and Christian. Some of these are people. Some theories is...
My excuse. We can start with mine. My excuse is that he got shot with Chewie's blaster. Yes. And the whole movie, they were hyping up that blaster to be super powerful. Like, even Han was like, wow, this thing's amazing. Oh, wow, this thing's so powerful. And it took down, like, 4 stormtroopers at once. Yeah, but the problem is... It disintegrates people with, like, one blast, right? And he got shot head-on with it. Full blast right into his chest.
That's true, but on paper, who, out of Rey and Finn, who's more likely to be better with that lightsaber? A trained soldier from the First Order or a girl scavenger? And yet he beats Finn with that injury handily. Yeah, it doesn't even come close. This dude's like doing fucking moves like it's not even a competition. He takes out Boyega, Finn, and then she picks it up. And for some reason, I can't make that connection of because she has the Force she's able. The Force lets you push things. It takes mind control, but it doesn't upload.
It doesn't upload.
It doesn't upload moves in fighting.
It doesn't do that. It does give you strength, however.
It does,
but he has strength too.
Yeah,
and he's on the dark side, so he should be very powerful as well.
Yeah.
One thing that Christian mentioned was that. And I kind of, maybe you never know. And something that my friend mentioned too.
Is this the mind thing?
That maybe she did have training before.
Yeah, and it was like...
And she was trained younger. And then when she closed her eyes, she was like, oh yeah, I was trained with this. I do know how to use this in some way or another.
The problem with that theory is there's nothing to support it in the movie.
There isn't, no.
When I hear all these theories, I get it. You're trying to find ways to justify it.
To be honest, man, the only thing that I justify with was he got shot. But to me, it's like he got shot makes her have a shot to last a few minutes.
Yeah,
she still should have lost.
Yes,
to me,
he's like hitting his side, like I mean, but he's still a Sith trained, Luke trained, guy,
and Snoke trained,
who has a lightsaber 24/7. Should be able to beat a girl who's never picked a lightsaber before.
Yes.
I don't care how strong the Force is with her.
I agree. 100% agree.
So, again, I'm going to try to overlook it because...
I'll overlook it, I guess. To me, it's what took me out of the movie the most.
Yeah.
More than Starkiller Base.
I
was like, no, this guy's going to whoop both of them in 2 minutes.
I think that's
and then
why...
it took like 15 minutes and he was losing. And I was like, what? No.
And if you notice, a lot of the problems I'm having with this movie is all in the third act. And this is why I said, it felt like 2/3 of a great movie to me. It went from, being a 5 out of 5... to some of the choices in that third act, taking it to a 4 out of 5. Mm-hmm. It's the Han Solo. Yes, I'm sad Han died, but I didn't buy the relationship between the son. I didn't have any context. The lightsaber fight started off great, but then I didn't buy her beating him. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that if
it was a tie,
Death Star thing,
if it was she escaped and we didn't know who won the fight, I would have been okay with it. I would have been like, sure, we didn't know who was better.
Yeah.
She was getting the upper hand, but we never found out if she could. But she straight up beat him. Beat him.
Yeah.
And she would have killed him if it wasn't for the planet separating.
And I was like, ugh. One thing we mentioned right after the podcast was, not the podcast, the movie, was I wasn't a huge fan of them getting hit with a lightsaber so much. Watch every other single Star Wars film. The only time you're getting hit with a lightsaber is either a death or a limb's getting cut off. This thing, they're just scratching each other so many times. I mean, Boyega gets hit in the back. His spinal cord should be melted.
Maybe it is. Maybe he'll get a robotic spinal cord.
Maybe. But by the end of the movie, Kylo Ren is on the ground. He's been hit in the shoulder. I'm okay when he used the flare to burn, Finn against the tree. I thought that was cool.
But to counter your point, we actually do see that. Episode 2, Count Dooku stabs Obi-Wan twice. Once in the leg, once in the shoulder.
That was purposely. You could tell he was just doing it to hurt him.
Yeah, but you can make...
Because he's a master freaking Sith Lord who's been trained with this thing. That guy, I believe, could do that. And I believe he just wanted to hurt him.
But could you make the argument that Rey wasn't trained and she just kind of poked him a little bit?
She shouldn't even be able to hit him.
I agree with that.
Because he's a freaking trained
I agree with that. But I'm just saying that I'm okay with the whole lightsaber stabs because we've seen him before.
I feel like for someone... They really hammer home in the original trilogy especially that to use lightsaber you have to be a Jedi because you need that focus. Because that thing is the deadliest weapon in the galaxy.
Yep.
You can't... I feel like only a Jedi has the skill to give you and just nick you.
Yeah.
When two people are just hitting each other with freaking lightsabers as hard as they can, and they just happen to cut you here and there, I'm sorry. It feels, again, this might be a little nitpicky. That's just how I felt watching it.
I'm okay with it.
I want every strike from a lightsaber to be... that's what I love about the Darth Maul fight. The Darth Maul against Obi-Wan...
It's still my favorite fight.
It's the best fight.
It's still my favorite fight.
The reason why I love it...
I rewatched it last night, by the way.
Did you really?
I did, just to get ready for rewatching this, and it's still my favorite fight.
The best thing about it is, for me, lightsaber fights are a chess game. Mm-hmm. One wrong move and you're done. Mm-hmm. Bzz, 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 boom, you're done. That's how Qui-Gon Jinn died.
Yep.
He wasn't getting cut up a little bit. It was, But again... I'm going to say this because I know people are going to yell at me. I understand those are two masters. Those are two guys that are skilled beyond skilled.
Yeah.
But she's just a girl who picked up a lightsaber, and he's a guy. Upset. And even Snoke says at the end, "I need to finish his training."
Yeah,
but
we don't know what that means, though.
We don't know what that means, and that doesn't.
It doesn't mean lightsaber.
It doesn't negate the fact that he's already been trained by Luke for years. He's already been trained by Snoke for some years.
Not just that, but he freaking stopped a blaster shot in midair. Yeah. I was like, this guy's so freaking powerful.
Why was he using the Force on her at all? Like he could have pushed. He should have been like throwing branches at her.
And then he used her to stop her too.
Yes.
Remember he did that twice
when he first sees her. Yeah,
he did. He stopped her.
Why didn't he try to do something like that?
He could have done that. And I mean, you can make the argument that she could have blocked it, like she blocked his mind control.
And let's get to that part again. Something else in the third act that bothers me a little bit.
I like that.
The fact she's able to pick up this Force so quickly. The fact that she can go from not using the Force once to literally within a few minutes using a Jedi mind trick.
Oh, the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
My issue with that scene was, how did she know to do that? How did she know to say, you will leave the door open and you will not say a word or something like that?
The only thing I can think of is because
how would she know how to do that?
Because they heard of Luke. Like even when Luke Skywalker gets mentioned.
Even if you hear of Luke, would you hear that exact same thing? He tells people to do it, like kill Grace.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they heard like, oh, Jedis were so powerful they can even control people's minds. So
yeah, but how did she know to say it verbatim word?
I don't think there's.
That was weird.
I don't think you have to say it a certain way.
She said you will drop your rifle. Yeah. No, she said you will leave your post and leave the door open.
But that's how you would say.
I was like, how would she know to say it like that? It was like Kilgrave.
I don't know. I felt like when Obi-Wan did it in the first movie, it was like something that once you reach a certain level of Jedi, like I don't feel like just anybody could throw a Jedi mind counts. It's not something you learn on your first day of Jedi mind school.
I was okay with that. I wasn't okay with the wording. I was like, if she said,
interesting. I never. If she said,
untie me, or something like that, I would be okay with it. Mm-hmm. But she was like, you will untie me and leave the door open. And so I was just. Like, how would she know how to say it like that?
True. Again, guys, it sounds like we're hating on this movie.
No, I really like this movie.
We really like this movie. We're just trying to explain to you why this thing was kept from us from being a complete home run.
Yep.
It was, again, all in the third act. 90% of what I had problems with was all in the third act.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of what we're trying to talk it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And some guys probably agree, some of you guys probably don't. But, that's why film's subjective. And again, you're a huge Star Wars fan.
Huge Star Wars
fan. I'm a middle ground Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So for us to have these same problems, my biggest fear when I left that theater was thinking, oh my God, what if I'm the only one?
Yeah.
What if I'm the only one that thinks this way? But luckily, I talked to Alicia. Alicia was right on board with me. Scott Mantz, I saw him the next day. He agreed. He said he let out an audible sigh when he saw the Death Star 2.3.0. Even when I read Christian's review, the guys love the movie just as much as I do almost. But they see these same problems.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man.
And this is why I think what I was worried about is because I said this before. I don't think J.J. Abrams he has yet to make a 100% great movie with me. I think all his films are very serviceable. They're very fun. They're good action. I like Mission Impossible 3. I like the first Star Trek.
I really like the first Star Trek, man.
I can understand
that because as a Star Wars fan and not being a Star Trek fan my whole life,
me either.
That got me into Star Trek. All of a sudden, I was like, Spock is so cool. I want to learn more about Spock.
I never watched a Star Trek movie growing up. I never watched a show. I really dug that 2009
one.
Yeah,
that was such a good movie,
Such a good one. But, like I said, I do think the villain's a little weak in that movie. I think I have little problems with that movie.
Okay. I can see the villain being a little weak. Yeah.
But then Super 8 really kind of bummed me out. I dug it for the first hour. Again, the third act kind of fell apart for me. Into Darkness was a little bit of a disappointment, trying to remake Wrath of Khan. And I remember texting Harloff right afterwards. He said, what did I think? I was like, I really liked it. I was like, my worst fear came true. He remade Star Wars.
Yeah.
JJ did it again. Basically what he did with Into Darkness. He remade Wrath of Khan, but
he did remake Wrath of Khan.
And I was just like, that was my biggest worry.
Yeah.
And, but I will say, watching it the second time like we did today,
it was a lot more fun.
I was able to let go of some of that stuff because I knew going in that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it more in the second viewing.
Yeah. What'd you think of Snoke? I'm curious what you think of Snoke.
This is where I don't.
Because I asked you just now, recently.
Yeah, because I don't know canon. I don't watch the cartoon. Okay. This is the first time everyone's heard of Snoke, right?
Yeah.
I really wish we could have got some background, some information of what happened between episode 4.
We will get that.
I'm sorry, episode 6 and episode 7.
We will get that.
I was almost kind of hoping that Snoke would be introduced as a surprise. But he's like already in and he's like, what you call midterm as president. President Snoke's been around. I was really hoping, like, when I first saw the trailer for the first teaser, The Force Awakens makes sense for the title when I was watching the movie. Part of me was hoping that everything was going to be okay when this movie started off.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you reveal Snoke. All of a sudden you reveal the Empire is coming back. Like, I thought it was going to be like an awakening of the dark side and the Force. But again, you come in and it's like the Empire never left. It's called the First Order now. So, like, I feel like, I was hoping to see some of that change and some of that re-emerging of the Empire and re-emerging of the rebellion. But it's literally everything's just there already.
I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think there ever was like a re-emerging. I think they pretty much right after Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, they built up the First Order like 2 months later.
Yeah.
Like literally, they celebrated with the Ewoks, and then 2 months later, they were like rebuilding the First Order. Yeah. Here we go.
Empire's
coming back.
But First Republic, or the First Republic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it means. Like when
the First Order, you mean.
First Order, sorry, yeah. So like when Jedi ends, you feel like they've defeated the Empire. You feel like there's good times ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie picked up and it's like, oh, we're right where we left off.
I agree with you with that, but at the same time, the movie didn't explain that. You're right. Yeah. And I was okay with it. And I was okay with it.
Maybe it's explained in the books that have come out. Maybe it's explained in the comics, but I'm coming from this as a pure film fan.
Yeah.
Someone who just watches the movies.
Yeah.
I was hoping for just a change.
Yeah.
And again, going back to how this is a cover song of episode 4, the thing that got me most excited about episode 7 was we've seen that trilogy. The first trilogy was the rebellions against the Empire. I was like, that's done. Mm-hmm. We've told that story. So I literally was going with this having no idea. That's what everyone was wondering. That's why when those trailers came out, we're all picking them apart like crazy because we have no idea where this story could go.
Yeah.
And for it to go down such a familiar path, it's like JJ and Kathleen Kennedy. They took the easiest road possible.
They did, but
they really could have took some chances and
they could have
something totally different.
But I'm okay with them taking the easy road, the safe road.
Explain to me why.
I'm okay with it because it's the first movie of a trilogy. Okay. Because you have episode 8, because you have the spin-off films, and you have episode 9.
But why not use this to start a new story? It's almost like I feel like the new Star Wars movie is really going to be the next one.
Because I feel like they wanted to establish a new trilogy in a way that they can please the vast majority of fans. And they felt that the way they can please the vast majority of fans is retelling A New Hope in a different, new kind of way.
Why?
Because they wanted to please more Star Wars fans. And I felt like it's the safe way, yes, but if they do it well, and they did it well, it's fine. Because episode 8 could be freaking amazing. It could be the best movie ever.
This is the thing, like, some people have sold to me, well, they had to reintroduce it to a new generation. I call bullshit. This is Star Wars. This is arguably the biggest movie of all time. Movie will definitely be the biggest of all time. It's going to make like 300 this weekend. Everybody and their grandmother knows Star Wars. We all know that story. We all grew up with that story. Everyone that wants to see this movie has gone back and watched those movies. There's no reason to I understand you need to reintroduce Han Solo and all these characters.
New generation, I think the argument with that would be young kids. Very young kids.
What young kid at home is not going to want to watch Star Wars?
I agree with you. But at the same time, coming from someone who's 8 years old, who was at the midnight premiere for Phantom Menace, who, by the way, I loved Phantom Menace.
We all loved it when it came out.
I mean, I freaking love Phantom Menace. But again, as someone who's obviously older now, looking back at the prequels, that's my childhood. I enjoyed the prequels. They're not great movies.
Here's the thing.
But I really like the prequels. And it's because I grew up with it. It's the same with a kid who's probably 8 years old.
I'm going to say something.
Who watched The Force Awakens last night. 8 years old, watching it for the first time, and he's like, wow, Finn's really cool, Rey's really cool.
This is one thing about the prequels, I'll actually give it more credit than this new movie, is those prequels were telling brand new stories that did not seem the same exact mold as the Empire 4 and 5. Like, you watch those 3 movies, listen, I know 2's crap, I know 3 is actually, I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I know the first one, to me, Phantom Menace, to me, is the worst of the prequels. But at least he was telling a different story. At least he was doing something different with each film. Those films do not have... You can't really compare those movies to any of the original trilogy.
JJ was more concerned about making a good movie than making a new story.
I think he
accomplished it. He made a good movie, man.
He made a good movie. I totally agree with you. but I feel like there was like so many opportunities to take this thing and tell a whole new story instead of kind of retelling the same story but repackaged.
Sure. All right, let's.
That's just me. Though.
I agree. Let's talk about what we did like about the movie.
Yeah, all right. We've been talking so much about what we did.
What do you think about the characters, the new characters?
That to me is the best thing about this movie. I love almost every new character introduced, and this makes me even so excited about the sequel directed by Rian Johnson because, and someone said this, I can't remember who, but they said you don't go back to Star Wars for the special effects really anymore. You don't go back for, the space battles. That stuff's cool. But what brings you back to those original movies are the characters. Mm-hmm. Han Solo, Luke, Leia, Darth Vader,
Chewbacca.
Lando, Chewbacca, C-3PO. It's the characters that really bring you back in the end.
Yep.
I think one thing JJ knocked out of the park is I like all these characters.
I agree.
I want to see Daisy Ridley's character, what's going to happen next. I want to see John Boyega. Poe. Oscar Isaac is awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to see more stuff.
I want to see more of Poe.
I hope he gets a meteor role in the sequels. I hope he's not just the cocky, cool pilot.
Who we see like 15 minutes of?
Yeah, I want him to have I want him to be on that adventure with Finn and Rey.
I agree.
So
he's a great character.
Great character. I think BB-8 is great. I think
BB-8 was fantastic.
Different, and actually, it's weird to say he has a different personality, but he has a very different personality than R2-D2.
He's different than R2, and he's fresh and cool in a new way.
Yeah,
BB-8 was great.
Totally agree. So for me, it's like, oh man, I'm so excited to see where these characters go.
I agree. I liked Finn. I liked how he was. I didn't see the comedic character coming out of him at all.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are arguing about Finn, about him being a stormtrooper and what happened and why did he rebel and all this stuff.
It's kind of.
I have theories about it because I don't, not necessarily theories, but I know that there's an explanation coming. Probably in either episode 8 or episode 9. I told you, and again, I felt like it was kind of. Not confirmed, but almost like I felt confirmed with my own theories because a lot of people are saying, how did he just out of nowhere stop being a stormtrooper?
Yeah.
But I felt like something inside of him moved that even Kylo Ren felt. And that scene where he refused to shoot, Kylo Ren stared at him. And in that scene where they said, a stormtrooper rebelled, we don't know who. He said FNN27. I know exactly who it is.
Because he saw
because he
on
felt
the ground.
it. Yeah, he saw it on the ground. He saw it on the ground, but I feel like he also felt it. There's something weird about this stormtrooper. Something has touched the stormtrooper and he's acting out. But wait, he's never acted out before. Yeah, but there's something going on with Finn, I'm telling you.
Maybe he's the great-grandson of Mace Windu.
I mean, if we're doing this whole family thing, everyone's a family.
Yeah, everything's family. Why not make him like Mace Windu's like great-grandson?
I don't know who it is, but I'm telling you, there's something more going on with Finn that made him rebel. Because there's no way that out of all the stormtroopers, not one of them before has rebelled. There's something with Finn that even Kylo Ren sensed. That he rebelled. But I liked Finn and I liked Rey a lot.
We talked all about these new characters that we love. Mm-hmm. What I love the most of this movie is Han Solo. I thought Harrison Ford put the shoes back on, put the vest back on, and was Han Solo. Like, it didn't feel like Indiana Jones, where sometimes he wasn't Indiana Jones. It was just Harrison Ford doing the motions. I loved Han in this movie, and it depresses me that he's not going to be in the other ones.
It's what he wanted. It's what Harrison Ford wanted.
Yeah, I know. And I would be more worried that he's not in sequels, but because, like we just said, I think all these new characters are so good that I'm okay that he died in this movie because JJ did such a good job of making these new characters so interesting and likable. But I am going to miss Han. I thought he was great in this movie.
Chewie was great.
He's the MVP for me. If I'm going to MVP besides Daisy Ridley, because she was fantastic also.
She was great.
For me, it's like Han is what made this feel more like Star Wars than anybody else in the movie.
I agree. Han Solo was great. I thought Chewbacca and his interaction with Han Solo was fantastic. Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver as Kylo Ren were two of my highlights, besides Poe, because Poe was probably my favorite, but we didn't see enough of him.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley was fantastic as Rey. I want to see more of her. Kylo Ren character was interesting.
Some people are having issues with
some
him.
people are
split.
Whiny. Some people are split on him. I like his character a lot. I feel like it's a character that they're trying to let him grow. I felt like for any Avatar: Last Airbender fans out there, it's straight up Prince Zuko. It's the story of Prince Zuko, which is what I posted on my Twitter recently, where it's this kid who's kind of lost, and he's trying to find his way, and he doesn't know what's good or what's not good, or what's right or what's not right, or what's true and what's not true. I really feel that with Kylo Ren, and I felt that with Adam Driver's portrayal.
I didn't, like, the first time I saw it, I was 100% sold on Adam Driver. second viewing, I warmed up to it more.
Yeah.
I accepted it more. And I was like, okay, you know what? I was like, I'm on board.
Yeah, first time he took off his mask with Rey, I
Yeah.
thought that scene was great. When she says, "You're a creature in a mask. I don't know what the hell you are," and he takes off his mask, and he's like, "No, look at me. Look at my eyes. I'm a normal dude. I'm just trying to find information from you." You know, I really like that scene because it showed that he's obviously he's a part of the dark side, but he's very aware of where he's at.
I'm so curious, and this is one thing the movie didn't tell us, which I wish I'm guarantee we're gonna learn more in the sequel. Because now that we found Luke, which obviously we haven't talked about, but Luke shows up the very last minute of this movie.
That's another thing that that cliffhanger just
so good.
It's good, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish there wasn't just such a cliffhanger. I want it to be just a full, complete story. Not get ready for episode 8. It's just like,
that's the thing. There's so many questions I have, and I feel like the only person in the movie that could answer was Luke, and so that's why I'm like, we're definitely gonna get a lot more answers because like. I'm really curious to know how Adam Driver got pulled to the dark side in the first place.
It's a great.
I want to know.
I'm sure we're gonna find out,
and I want to know where Snoke came from. Like, just all these questions I have that they don't even really tease to in this movie. They don't even give you a hint.
They don't. But maybe. I mean, I'm because I'm a conspiracy theory, and I'm with Harloff as far as Plagueis. I'm feeling that Plagueis vibe from Snoke, man.
I know, but there's nothing to
hear me out. Hear me out.
At it.
There's nothing to hint about it. True, but. The fact that they're kind of going with the whole Jason Solo angle from the expanded universe, and probably not the entire storyline, but the fact that Han and Leia had a kid trained by Luke, turned to the dark side. That's from expanded universe, right?
See, I've never read any of this.
And that's Jason Solo. And then instead of replacing Han and Leia's daughter as being the counterpart, being the light side, it's Rey as Luke's daughter, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's... And I think, who else could it be?
Yeah, but I think Snoke is Plagueis. They might not use that name, but I think he is Plagueis.
Who is just like one of the first Sith Lords who conquered death. I learned that from episode 3.
Yeah,
he's that whole scene where he tells Anakin, "Have you heard of Darth Plagueis the Wise?"
But not just that. If we go a little bit deeper with it, we go into someone who can stop people from dying, someone who can possibly create life, right? If someone who can create life, who in episode 1 we find out who created Anakin. Who's his dad? We don't know.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe Plagueis.
Snoke / Plagueis is Darth Vader's dad? Oh, we don't know.
He created him.
He created him. He let the Emperor believe that he killed him. We see that scar on Snoke's head.
Yeah.
Could that be the scar of Emperor Sidious taking his blow? Thinking that he killed his master, but he didn't?
You're throwing up a lot of stuff.
I'm throwing up a lot of stuff.
And this is not canon now. The stuff you're mentioning is all stuff that has been erased from the history
some
of the
Some of it is, some of it isn't, right?
Okay.
What is canon is Plagueis, right? And the mention in episode 3.
In episode 3, yes.
What is canon is the fact that we don't know who Anakin's father is. The fact that he was just born. We don't know what happened, right? That's canon. Right? What I'm saying is that they took from expanded universe with Jason Solo into Kylo Ren. So they could do the same with Snoke. And what I'm saying is also in that scene where Han is like, no, Snoke is deceiving you. He tells that to Kylo. He says, no, the Supreme Leader is wise. Everyone knows that the way that Emperor Palpatine referred to Darth Plagueis is Darth Plagueis the Wise. Yeah. Right? Again, I'm telling you, man, this is all speculation. Yeah. We still don't know what the staff is for Rey. They never mentioned the staff at all, but she still has it with her. So I could see Luke and Rey training on that island, and Luke revealing that staff is something very significant. So
interesting, man.
Yeah.
Again, stuff like hanging out with you guys is how I learned all this stuff because I wouldn't know. The other thing is, like, a couple moments I really love in the movie is one of my favorite moments early in the film is when they're running. The First Order is basically trying to take out Rey and Finn, trying to get the droid, and he's like, "Let's go to that. What about that ship?" She goes, "It's a piece of junk." Then they blow up the ship they're going to, and then they reveal the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, that was great.
That scene to me is great.
That was great.
The audience, I think that's one of the biggest, like, stand up and cheer kind of moments. And I also love that the technology, like, in the Millennium Falcon is kind of like old school Star Wars technology. Yep. It's not like updated, like, retina screens or anything like that. It's like old school Star Wars technology.
The entire film had a very cool old school feel. Like every storm, I mean, because I got used to the clone troopers, which the vast majority of them were all CGI.
Yeah.
But seeing actual stormtroopers with the suits and seeing them get shot and have their like, you could see the pieces of the armor fall off. I thought that was really cool. I was like, wow, that felt like an actual real thing.
Going back to Finn, like, he had the attitude of somebody who was not raised in a military regime. Do you think maybe he was like? What do you think that's about? Like,
I see the thing is,
but again, he was still taken as a child.
He was still taken as a child.
He was still in this,
and yet his personality, he had a personality.
Yeah, which is weird.
Which is weird, exactly. A lot of people are saying that's a negative. I'm saying that was on purpose. I'm saying that there's something there with Finn.
Part of me wants to agree with you, and part of me is just. I just see somebody making excuses.
No. I'm telling you, they wouldn't have mentioned him not acting out before.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have mentioned the fact that Kylo Ren had some sort of moment with him when he looked at him when he was disobeying an order, that he knew exactly who rebelled. He's like, it was this guy. Not just because of his force powers, because he felt something inside Finn.
Kylo does say, was it FN?
Yeah, it was FN 2187. And he's like, that's the one. And he's like, because I felt something from that guy. Something's off about Finn.
And when he goes, who else was with him? And he said a girl. And then he immediately grabbed him.
There's something about that girl, too.
Does he know something that he's not letting on?
We never know. Because
he seemed really surprised when she started using the Force. Yeah. It's not like he knew she had the Force.
That's true, but at the same time, the theory of Rey having previous training that she didn't know about...
I'm not even going to think that's a possibility yet, because there's nothing in the movie to support it.
Sure. How did she know everything about the Falcon? How did she know everything? She was like, I don't know, I don't think she
knew everything about that. I think she
knew more than Han.
She's been around parts for so long.
Was it that? Or was it... When Finn asks her, how did you do that? She says, I don't know.
How do you do what?
Fly the Falcon like a boss. How did she do that? How did she know how to speak every language?
Do you think Luke trained her to use the Falcon while she was a little kid?
No. I'm saying that we don't know her past. We don't know what she did in her past.
But we know her past up to a point where she was like a 6-year-old girl.
Sure.
And
but what I'm saying is that...
age 1 to 6, there's no way she was able to be taught all that.
I agree, but we don't know what could have been of her. We don't know, was she a part of Snoke? Was she... Yeah, we don't know. I mean, maybe she could have been a part of Snoke, or...
I think you're reaching, man.
Hey, man, we don't know. All I'm saying is this.
We don't know, but don't start making things up for...
I'm not making things up.
There's nothing to support that stuff.
There's nothing to support it. I'm just freestyling
You're just freestyling.
You know what? Here. Check this out. Finn mentions this in the movie. He says, how do you know what he's saying? She knew every single language in the movie. She knew how BB-8 spoke, how the planets on Jakku spoke, how Chewie. How did she know the Wookiee language?
Because she's on a planet with all these different aliens. She obviously.
How did she know the Wookiee language? That threw me off because Finn was like, "You can understand that thing?" She's like, "Yeah, he's saying blah blah blah," and I was like, "What? How did she know Wookiees? She knows this. She knows that." Yeah. I'm telling you, there's something mysterious about Rey that maybe in her past.
I'm not totally against what you're saying. I'm just like, I just don't know if this.
There's nothing to support it. This is all me theorizing. Yeah. I know.
I get it. What are some more moments that you really like that stuck out to you in the film?
The beginning of the film with Poe breaking out with Finn, I thought was great. Yes. It was such a quick, cool...
Because at that point, it's nothing like the other Star Wars movies.
No, yeah. And it's such a cool, quick interaction between them two, where Poe... You can see Poe's entire personality in 5 minutes. Agreed. You can see exactly who this guy is and exactly what Oscar Isaac is bringing to his character in 5 minutes. He's a cool pilot. He's badass, but he's also like a really down-to-earth dude where there's a stormtrooper who's trying to break him out, and his first instinct isn't like, oh, cool, yeah, take me to the TIE fighter. All right, now I'm going to shoot you. Bye. Peace out. No, he's actually trying to help him out. He's saying, hey, man, I'll give you a name. Your name's going to be Finn. You know, you could see that interaction between them two. I thought that was great. I thought... The scene between Kylo Ren and Rey, where she's pushing back with the Force.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic, where she says you don't want to be like Darth Vader. That moment, you could see that she can read his mind, too. Because this whole time, he was reading her mind, and then she was like, I can read your mind, too. That interaction between them two was great, and it really showed Kylo Ren's character, where I saw Prince Zuko.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. You know what? The one scene we didn't really talk about much was the new Yoda girl. What is her name? Maz Kanata? So that scene was interesting. Obviously, it was supposed to kind of represent the scene where you go into the, what was it called? The katana?
The bar, yeah.
What was the bar called?
Cantina.
Katana?
No.
Cantina? You're close.
The cantina.
So the scene that really sticks out to me in that bar scene, it's not the whole thing with Finn and her. Yeah, he wants to run away. He's scared. But it's the whole... reveal of Luke's lightsaber. Again, we have no idea how that thing... They even ask... Even Han Solo's like, where'd you get this? She goes, that's a story for another time. Say, wait till the sequels, buddy.
Yeah,
But
much.
something happened for the first time in any of the Star Wars movies that has never happened before. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, we actually saw a Force vision. And that was freaking cool. I liked that a lot because I was like, we've never seen this before.
Yes,
we saw her actually seeing visions because we know Luke has seen visions of the future.
But he always said them.
But he always said them. We never actually see them. And
now, do you know why
Anakin
they never showed them before?
I
only know this because I originally bought the Star Wars Blu-ray set, and there's a great documentary. Lucas made it a rule to never show flashback in these movies. It was something that even in the prequels that they talked about, and he said, something he just, for some reason, is a rule he put on himself. He's like, I never want to show a flashback. I just want to talk about it.
You mean flash forward?
Flashback.
Flashback? Because
she sees a flashback.
She sees the flashback, but you can make an argument that she may also see the future.
Those scenes you're seeing are not the future.
Do we know? How do we know?
I'm pretty sure, because all seems to be happening in order. We see Kylo Ren taking out all the dead Jedis. We see Luke, and then it literally ends up with her being left at a planet. So I think she's almost like getting these memories back. For me, it was just her getting these memories back.
I could see both, man.
What did you think that scene in the rain was with Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren? You thought that was maybe a flash forward?
With the Knights of Ren.
Oh, wow, I totally saw that as...
That maybe she doesn't want to see that happen, so she has to stop Kylo Ren from killing everyone.
I think because we've already heard about what Kylo Ren had done.
Didn't in that vision, didn't we see Kylo Ren in the forest? In the snowy forest?
I don't believe...
I think we did, yeah. So that's her seeing into the future, where she's like, oh, I'm going to fight him.
But that was the last thing, so maybe everything we saw before that was...
I see it as the opposite, where she's seeing the future, and she says, "This is the not too distant future."
So you think in the future, what's the deal with the little girl?
No, that was her past, obviously. I'm saying that she was seeing both.
Think it was in order of past, and then the last thing they showed was the future shot.
Okay, we could see it both ways, or we could see freaking Luke on Moribond, or wherever that planet was. I was like, is that the Sith planet? We don't know what planet he was on.
I think it's interesting
because that was in the island.
I think it's interesting that like George Lucas never wanted to do that, and then JJ was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it."
Yeah,
this is mine now.
I thought it was cool. I was like, "Whoa, this is like our first vision that we're seeing."
Interesting.
So I like that scene. I thought that scene was cool.
Yeah, I don't feel one way or other about it. It left me with more questions, but it also gave me some backdrop. It was like, okay, I think it's Luke's daughter. She was obviously dropped off.
Yeah, I mean it's Luke's daughter. She touches his freaking lightsaber, and it's a Skywalker lightsaber because it's Anakin's lightsaber.
And when she does finally grab it to fight Kylo Ren, the Luke music is playing.
It has to be Luke's daughter.
It's gotta be Luke's daughter.
Because I have a lot of people arguing me against that. They're like, it can't be Luke's daughter. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think it's Luke's daughter. They're pretty much hinting at it.
All right, man. I think we basically covered the bases. Again, we talked about things we liked. We probably talked more about things we didn't like. But I think because we're just trying to, explain why. I have trouble when... listen, film's subjective. If you saw this movie, you thought it was a 5 out of 5, more power to you, brother. I wish, I had your eyes.
Yeah.
For me, there were just certain things that... It's not even that he did anything bad. It was just I saw missed opportunities. And in my head, I said, oh, man, I am so ready for a brand new, fresh Star Wars story. And I ended up getting kind of a retelling of a Star Wars story I've already seen hundreds of times in my lifetime, because who doesn't rewatch Star Wars once a year? So I was disappointed in that end, but at the same time, I had fun from beginning to end. And the things that took me out of the movie the first time did not bother me so much on the second.
I agree 100%.
At the end of the day, and I felt this way after the first one, and I felt the same way after the second one, I feel like now we are ready to go into some new territory, and we are going to just... The sky's the limit from here. Yep. I think nobody better than Rian Johnson to take over. Someone who is nothing. J.J. Abrams, say what you will about him. He is what's the word I'm looking for? He is like the guy you get to make a blockbuster safe movie.
Yep.
Rian Johnson is not that guy.
I agree.
That guy has not made a popcorn or studio film in his life.
Yep.
Everything he's done has had an indie vibe to it and has been totally different from the other.
Yep.
So this guy... I think just take it and go wherever. Now, Colin Trevorrow, we'll see.
Oh, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
It'll be more by the book for sure. Episode 8, at least we have a chance to see something different.
Something different. I swear to Almighty Gods, like I told you earlier, if they start rebuilding that damn Star Killer, I might just leave the theater. But all right, man.
I doubt it, man.
Overall, really enjoyed the film, even though I was disappointed with some of the formulaic and retelling of certain things.
Yeah,
I think the future is bright for Star Wars.
I agree.
think the sequel is going to be amazing.
Hey, man, it's got Rian Johnson. It's got Benicio del Toro.
Yep, that's right.
After Sicario, bro.
That's right.
Oh, man. His performance in Sicario made me excited for Episode 8. I was like, this guy can be amazing once again.
I agree. And it's Sicario.
Nope, Sicario. It's a Spanish word. I'm going to say it in Spanish.
You can say it in Spanish. I guess we'll end this podcast. 2 things. I just tweeted out before this. Give me your 1-sentence review of Star Wars. I'm going to read some of them off that the fans have. I want to read what their 1-sentence review is.
Oh, cool.
So it's my way of doing quick things.
Okay.
Usually I tweet out, hey, what's the last movie you watched? I just asked for their 1-sentence review. So we're going to read through some of those. I don't really want to get into where do you think the sequel is going to go, because I'm still digesting this one.
Got it.
I think maybe we'll come back. I'll have you back. We'll do where do you think it's going to go from here, and what would you like to see? The only thing I will say is some people are saying that Kylo Ren is kind of following the Darth Vader path, where he started off good, now he's gone to dark side. Will he come back to the light side by the end? Personally, I would love for him to just go all the way to the dark side. I don't want a redemption story with him. Because after killing Han Solo, I think he's beyond redemption. I want him just to go as dark can be. I want him to be so badass by a third one that you can't wait for him to die.
I am almost 100% that he is going to have a redemption.
Really?
100%. I'm not saying I want it.
Yeah.
I want him to stay dark and maybe have something different. Not necessarily a redemption, but maybe pick neither side. That'd be kind of interesting if he picks neither side. If he tries to kill Snoke but still tries to kill the Jedi.
That would make no sense.
I don't know. Something different.
That's why I want him to go completely dark. Because
if he goes completely dark,
I don't want him to retell the Anakin story.
I'm telling you, there is almost. I don't see that. Especially after this movie where he's still struggling with the light, and he said, "I'm struggling with the light. I'm struggling with the light."
Did he kill the light in this movie?
That's why he did it. That's why he killed Han.
That's what I'm saying. I think the light is dead.
Maybe you're right, man. We'll see.
All right, man. So let's end this with some quick things. I don't think I've ever gotten so many replies than I have to this tweet. Let's go with Gregory Spalding. He's a big fan. He listens all the time. While it has its flaws, it brings back the spirit of Star Wars that was sadly missing in the prequel trilogy. I'll agree with you on that one. The prequel trilogy is not very good, and this one definitely does a better job. I don't think it 100% recaptures the magic and awe of the original trilogy, but it's the closest we've gotten so far. This guy says, "The Force Awakens is everything I knew, hoped for, and awakened so much more." Interesting. Christian Arrojo, the magic's back. I'm sorry, the last guy was Richard King. Christian Catalan, very solid with elements of greatness, but not perfect. Agree. Josh at Joshua7520, congrats. Oh, never mind. He said, congrats on winning movie fights.
Oh, spoiler.
Spoiler. It's all right. Watch movie fights. I kicked ass. Let's see. This guy said, Lucas Magillo, who's a big fan, hilarious, awesome, and worthy of the name Star Wars. I will say this is probably the funniest Star Wars.
It probably was, yeah.
Some people I've heard complain it was almost too funny.
At first it took me out, but I especially second time, I liked it a lot. I liked the comedy in it.
This guy wrote Skooma Joe, at Skooma Joe. Really great but flawed movie that does a wonderful job of paying homage to the OG movies while still being fresh and new. I agree with most of what you said except for the fresh and new. While I do believe it gave us fresh and new characters.
I think that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, hopefully he's going with the characters in that way.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else we got here? 22 Tiger Dude at Tiger Dude 22. Good and solid entertainment to the fantastic original trilogy. Better than episode 1, says John Shadow 35. I think that's anything's better than that movie. Andreas
Ooh.
Melendez.
Whoa.
Oh no, I had him and I lost him. Oh, hold on, Andre.
That's because you had my name.
Yeah, I'll find you, Andre. Don't worry. Where'd you go? Oh yeah, really great film, but some things were too convenient, and maybe some things could have been explained. Bring on episode 8. I do agree it was a little too convenient. Like, why? What's the odds of that droid again falling into the hands of a Skywalker if she is Luke Skywalker's? That's where that's why because they were trying so hard to remake the first one, it just took me out.
Sure, man. How did R2 come back to life? I was like, what? Did the Force awaken R2?
Yeah, Gaston at ISY Uchila. It's about goddamn time we got a good Star Wars movie. My review in one sentence. All right. Felipe Flores, truly a gift from JJ to fans. Andrew Delaracio at Swag B, a perfectly imperfect return to form with great visuals and characters to effectively usher in a new generation. This whole thing about ushering in a new generation.
I'm telling you, man, it's true. Think about me. Put yourselves in my shoes. 8 years old, watching Phantom Menace. Like, that to me...
Did you not watch
No, I love the original. The originals, Darth Vader was my favorite going into it. I love Star Wars. But I'm saying, it gave me the opportunity to experience new characters for the first time.
I understand. Ryan McKenna at RM McKenna 19. Great return to the franchise, but not without issues. Notably, its failure to answer some questions it chose to pose. I agree. Like we said, there's a lot of questions.
But
I'm answers.
I'm sure those are purposeful.
Yeah, but some of them they're not even close to even hinting at. Justin Oyota, recognize the old, embrace the future, and have a modern twist and nostalgic favorite. All right, I'm just going to read a couple more because there's more than we'd be here in an hour if I read all these. Dylan Flickinger, the Force is with the cast and J.J. Abrams in this new addition to the franchise, worthy of a success story for the next 10 years. Yeah, I got that. At McQ96, a film that, despite some flaws, will bring a smile to the face of every Star Wars fan because we are indeed home. Yeah, good job. This guy Camilo Gutierrez just wrote, good, not great. So everyone seems to be...
It's positive.
Positive, but not overly positive.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I fall in too.
What's your one-sentence review?
My one-sentence review.
Yeah, you the one who posed the question.
I would say, fun time at the movies. Just be prepared to feel like you've been there before.
That sounds freaking negative.
Yeah, I know. It's what I told you. It's a real struggle. I totally recommend seeing this movie, and I think it's a great time at the movies if your expectations aren't too high. Maybe my expectations.
Everyone's expectations were too high.
Then I think that's why we're getting a lot of good but not great.
I feel like everyone's expectations were just too high. I would say, a lot of flaws, but really, really fun time at the movies with brand new characters and Fire Lord Zuko. So that's my review.
This guy might have this is what I should have said. James Chaney. A bit too familiar at times, but more than redeems itself with memorable characters and set pieces. I think that says it perfectly. That's what I would like. Good. That's what I'm going to say.
There you go, man. That's more positive than yours before.
James Chaney, because like I said, the thing that came away from me the biggest side of this movie is I love the characters.
There you go.
And like I said, that's the most important thing when it comes to great films is you revisit it. I watched Rocky 100 times, not because I want to see a boxing match, because I want to spend some time with Rocky.
There you go, man. I want to hang out with Rocky.
I want to hang out with Finn. I want to hang out with Rey. I want to hang out with Poe. And that's why I'm can't wait to see.
Give Kylo Ren a high five.
Yes.
After killing him.
All right, guys. So that's basically it. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Schmoes JTE. I work for Screen Junkies. Sign up to SJ Plus. We got a lot of great stuff. Interns Afield is coming out next year. It's awesome. Also, Kevin Smith, What in a Box, Monday Night Raw, TV fights, movie fights, After the Fight. Does it hold up? We got so many awesome shows. Check it out. Also, you can catch me on Box Office Breakdown every Sunday. We're on hiatus right now over the holidays. We're going to come back and just talk Star Wars for the next month until Batman v Superman comes out. Or even Deadpool. I think Deadpool has a chance of doing really good. Also, again, you're listening to JT Movie Things. Do me a favor. Rate, review, share it. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on comments. I will post on YouTube at the SK Podcast channel. I just want to hear what you guys think. I mean, this is one great thing about being around Star Wars and being around people that love movies. I just love talking movies with people.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Especially when something like this comes out. This is like, when I first saw this, again, I saw it Tuesday before most people.
Mm-hmm. Which I was not happy about.
Me, Ken, and a couple people, we wanted to talk about it so bad, so we would, run into a dark corner.
Yeah.
And like put a blanket over us and whisper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, trust me. We did that at work. We locked ourselves in a room and just ranted about Star Wars for like 2 hours.
All right, Ace, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Squad Leader Ace. Same thing on Instagram. And also, I'm starting up a YouTube channel next year, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be an anime review.
The first I heard of this.
Yeah, this is actually I've told you before. So
yeah,
don't say it's
I heard you wanted to do anime stuff.
It's gonna be an anime review YouTube channel. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna have some reviews. I'll have some little series and some little skits in there as well. So keep an eye out for that. Not sure when, but probably early next year.
Sweet, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. Do me a favor. If you feel like we gave you a 5-star podcast, go ahead and give me a 5-star review. And we'll talk to you next time. Next episode will not be about Star Wars. Maybe I might do like a year roundup.
Oh, okay. I'm down for that.
We're still doing our interns of Schmoes, where we basically just do a top 10 of the year. So we'll get together, you, me, Cody.
I'm excited for
and
that.
Copster. We'll do that. Look for that. And also look out for my montage video. Every year I take all the greatest clips from all the movies and I put together a little cinema montage.
Those are great.
Yeah, I've been working on it for a while. I'm hoping this year, I feel the pressure.
Hey, man.
Because my last
high expectations.
Yeah, the last 2 years I've done so good with them. Like every year I feel like this is the year I'm going to fuck it up. But all right, guys, thanks so much and keep watching those movies.